All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans, sponsored by Lionbolt Media. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Now, our very special guest and feature titan for today, all the way from beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina, none other than Stephen Cooley. Stephen, it's an honor and it's a pleasure. I cannot wait. Thank you so
Greg,
much.
I watch your shows, and I'm so excited to finally be a guest on one of them. So we're going to have a great time today. It's 4 o'clock on the East Coast on a Friday, so we're raring to go.
I love it. I can't wait. And I love you bring the energy, Stephen. I mean, this is so incredible. And again, just diving into the series of questions, getting everybody to know you deeper. I really can't wait. So Titan Nation, stay tuned. This is going to be incredible. So I guess without further ado, Stephen, let's just dive into the first one and really just kind of telling everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for asking. I appreciate the opportunity. So I've been in real estate since I was 21 years old.
Wow.
And in this area. And real estate, more specifically, real estate sales. And so at 23, I was number one in my town. And so throughout my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, and now at 53 years old, I'm still number one in my area. And we've grown from, I think that first year, it put me, or that second year, it put me number one at maybe 50, 60 properties. We'll do 1,000 sales this year. Oh, no. And that'll put us, last year we were 5th in the world for Keller Williams, and we're shooting to beat that this year. So we're going to have a really good time doing that. My team is made up of 45 people. 30 of those are in production and buying, helping sellers and buyers buy real estate, sell real estate. And then the rest is a support group to support those 30 agents. And so that's 45 of us that work on the Stephen Cooley Real Estate Group. We do it all under my brand and my name. Okay. So they're all kind of extensions of me, and all of us doing what we're best at. And so that makes it a really fun group. You know, if you match people to what they like to do, people enjoy work. So that's what I try to accomplish here.
Oh, Stephen, I mean, just that intro by itself is absolutely awe-inspiring and incredible. And again, the longevity and time frame that you've taken to devote to your craft and really just elevate and push those boundaries. What an incredible bar that you're setting and continue to set. And it's fascinating to me. And I know that everybody's watching and listening. They're curious. And this kind of goes into that first question too. Why real estate in the first place? You're back in your 20s. Why? What was your spark to get involved in the industry? And then again, to lead you to where you are to today?
Yeah, and that's such a great question. And I contemplate that question more now than I did when I was 21, when I made that decision. I tell you, I barely can remember being 21. Wow. But I knew that from working in restaurants through middle school and high school and college, I was always the best worker and the hardest worker. And the owner of the restaurant, manager of the restaurant would come and tell me that you're the best we've got. And so I knew just from that I should be in a career that paid me based on my work ethic.
Wow. And
really, truly, if you look at that, there's very few careers where you don't have to be a business owner. I'm, of course, a business owner today, but that you don't have to be a business owner, but you can be in a commission-only, unlimited career. The other thing that I realized at that age was, you know, a friend of mine today sells x-ray machines. So he's got about 5 clients per big city. Every single American needs shelter. And in America, we buy homes. Right. And so anyone over the age of 18 is a potential client. Every car passing you on the road is a potential client. Every person you work out with and go to church with and hang out with is a current, future, past client now today after 31 years. So I knew those two things at 21, that based on my work ethic, I needed unlimited income, and that real estate allowed me to do that without opening a business. And 2 is that it's a product that everybody needs.
And again, beautiful thought process at an extremely young age. And I know that when it comes down to that, Stephen, there's so many real estate professionals that having these conversations, wish I started 10 years ago, 5 years ago, going through. And I think that if you're really having the passion and you really see some incredible people such as yourself as an example of really sky's the limit and then some, there truly is no limit. It's just really inspiring to see somebody walking the talk, but with a lot of effort. I mean, this didn't
and
happen
Greg, I'm
overnight.
friends with people that's been in the business 5 or 6 or 10 years, and they've got huge real estate businesses now. So, even though I've been in it 31 years, it only took me 36 months to become number one in my area. So,
Right.
This opportunity exists today for folks, no matter what their age is. And I employ a 19-year-old that makes over $150,000 a year.
Wonderful.
Who graduated from high school only. So, and by the way, 150 in the South, it's probably like 300,000 in some cities. So,
Right.
that success, the youngest agent who works for me, I hired him at 17. So now he's 19 or maybe 20, but the oldest agent who works for me is 79.
Wow.
And so between 19 and 79, they're 2 of my top 5 agents.
Unreal.
So it does not discriminate.
Right.
The success in real estate does not discriminate. Modeling or movies, you may have to be pretty, but
Sure.
real estate has no boundaries. I can remember going to an awards banquet a few years ago, and someone in a wheelchair won number 1 in their MLS.
Wow.
And so, this is a business that anyone can succeed in if they do the correct things. And that can be any age or anybody.
Wow. I love that. And again, true somebody from the profession who's actually been there and done that and seen so many and trained so many. And Stephen, I want to kind of segue into this next part, because I think it's really important for everybody to know you a little bit deeper. And again, on the personal, but then also on the professional side. So the next question is the why question. What really drives you, Stephen, and motivates you, gets you excited every day out of bed to do what you do to the level you do it at? What's your why?
Well, there's a couple of whys, and if you move through the decades of a career, your why, your basic whys may change, and then your big why never changes.
Love
right?
Love
and
that.
so I've certainly in my 20s wanted to accomplish some materialistic things.
Sure.
I certainly wanted to, eat at a better restaurant, fly to a better location, and if you're not money motivated, in today's society, it seems like maybe money motivated is a dirty word. But if you're not money motivated, and nothing wrong with not being money motivated.
Right.
If you're not money motivated, don't be in a commission only job.
Well said.
And so it shouldn't be the number one thing on your mind, because people who are money motivated only, it will show up in their work habits. When deals fall through, they'll be very angry at everyone. They won't do anything that's money's not attached, and that's certainly not me. But I've always been money motivated. Sure. And money motivation extends to making sure my daughter graduated from college debt-free, making sure my niece graduated from college debt-free, making sure a friend of mine's child graduates from college debt-free. It's I give a portion of I work hard to give money to the charities that I believe in. Wow. And so money motivated doesn't mean you're greedy, and it doesn't mean that you want to accumulate all that money. I certainly have spent most of what I've made over 31 years on different things. And so, but money motivation needs to be there, and not everyone is, and you don't want everyone money motivated. Right. And so I would say that that's always been a why on what, money in America does a lot of things. Sure. And it feeds the hungry. And so I've always been money motivated for 31 years without being greedy and without keeping that money for myself. Sure. And so then it's okay to have small whys. I have a why board, and I put things on the why board, and I pull things off the why board. And I had my daughter with a cap and gown on my why board. And so, I certainly have been motivated by those things. And now my primary motivation, and I'm honored to be able to say this, is to build other people's careers and for them to get to experience the beauty of being in a real estate career and succeeding at it. Greg, failure in our life never feels good.
Right.
And I certainly follow the belief of fail forward, but also I try to minimize failures. So when I make a mistake, I never remake that mistake. And if you make a mistake and you share that with me, I won't make that mistake.
Right.
And so to help people build careers, and primarily that's people on my team, but it's also to help people build careers in real estate businesses across the country and hopefully the world. And also maybe, some of my wisdom that helps people in other careers. Wow. My daughter, who's now 27, started building a real estate team in another city in the South. Okay. And she's 27 and she's number 2 in her entire market. Wow. And I don't own her business. I've never seen her office.
Interesting.
She has her own office. I see her all the time. I just haven't seen her office. Yeah. But from giving her advice and motivation and helping her through the challenges of owning a business and being in real estate, to see her succeed and other people succeed. That's my why. That is kind of the big one now. And I've been lucky to have been in the business in my 20s, 30s, and 40s. And I've got my house and the car, or they may still be on there. I love it when young people come into my office and they go to work and I see that car and I see that watch and I see that house and I see that boat, because it should be. They're money motivated. I want them to be money motivated. And sometimes they don't realize that later on that they don't need that Ferrari, right? But it's good to see it up there. You coach people, money motivated people in their 20s, you're probably going to coach them with material things because as we get older, we buy our way into heaven, right? So at 53, I probably donate more money than the 23-year-old on my team. And so in the 20s, you coach them to typically materialistic things. In the 30s, you probably coach them to good child care, a nice home, good schools for their kids, possibly their significant other not working and raising the kids. And I've seen that on the whiteboard for people in the 30s. In the 40s, you coach them to send their kids to school debt-free. Each kid's a couple $100,000. And so in their 40s, you coach them to that, and early 50s, maybe weddings and college graduation. And then your 40s, 50s, and 60s, you coach people into what their retirement plan looks like. Wow. And their charity work. And I've got people in all those age groups. And so when I meet with them, that's the things we talk about. But because I'm 53 and I'm not materialistic motivated, it doesn't mean I can't have a great conversation with the 23-year-old.
Right. But I love that, Stephen, because you have so much perspective from so many different walks of life, and everybody is in a different portion of that and a time frame and that driver. But I love you talk about evolution through your life, and you see that through others, and really looking at it from that money motivation. It's extremely positive. The more we make, the more we can give. And you were talking about obviously starting with yourself, which we all have to, and then growing to your family and supporting your family, but then extensions of your family. And then when you're diving deeper into it, it's the bigger portion is everyone else, making everyone else great and succeed and share that wealth and knowledge and laying that legacy and foundation, giving to your community and your charity. I mean, there's no surprise to me, and I'm sure that anybody's watching or listening, as to why you have reached the level of success that you have in an extremely short time frame, but then over all this time, staying where you're at because of those whys, Stephen. They're so deep, they're so meaningful. And I really, really hope that anybody who's watching or listening to this can latch on to a few of those things to really understand that finding that is important, staying consistent, and really going for it all the way. It's what greatness looks like. And
Greg, if I hadn't had some of those materialistic things in my life, I'd still want them. And so, and I've got them, by the way. I haven't gotten rid of them.
Sure.
But you need a bigger why, and it's okay when you're young not to know it yet. But if your why is a Rolex, as soon as you get it, you don't have a why. So you need another one, and or maybe you one day realize you don't want it. And so you got to have some deeper why. And as we have kids, and I've seen your great family photos, we create our own whys, right? Our whys enter our lives if you live a big life and you live a good life, and then you see what your whys are. So again, someone young, single, it's okay not to have all those spelled out yet.
I love it. Hey, everybody, we're just getting warmed up. This is the second question, Stephen. This is incredible. So I do want to go into, because I know that you're very, very hands-on with helping people grow and scale their business and really educating in that. And so the third question really is for you to kind of think about, and I guess look back, if you could look back at your career thus far and pick or choose a few things that really stand out to you, Stephen, that you added, implemented, or changed, that you really saw growth, you really saw a jump. What's that look like for you? What advice would you share to anybody who's watching or listening, whether they're new or seasoned?
Yeah, and so I see team owners come from two groups of people, and probably the group that I come from is disappearing somewhat. But you have team owners like myself who own real estate teams who started out as a real estate agent and got busy and learned to leverage. And so, the first person I hired, they did the paperwork and put the signs up and went and got me lunch so I could stay focused. And then the second person I hired took half of the job of the first person because I became more successful from hiring the first person. Wow. And so I'm really just today a real estate agent like everyone else is with a lot of great help.
Wow.
And then the other group, which is nothing wrong, a lot of my friends across the country are this group, is they just want to own a business. And they looked at restaurants, they looked at bars and car dealerships and realized that real estate is one of the cheapest businesses to own.
Interesting.
You don't own your inventory, right? Yeah. You don't employ most of your people. They're 1099. And if you look at those two things, friends of mine own a high-end ladies boutique, and at any time they have a loan out at a bank for $3 to $5 million worth of inventory. So when that inventory doesn't sell or they got to reduce it, they take that hit. So real estate's a wonderful, incredible business to own. And so you kind of have those two sections. So to answer your question, I come from that first group. And so what I did correctly was I leveraged and kept growing. And I didn't walk in and hire 45 people. I hired one, and I hired two, and I hired three, and I did it that way. And I found that to be very successful, and it works really, really well. Not only would we be in the top 5 with Keller Williams in rankings of sales, I believe we are #1 in culture.
Wow. Huge.
And I created on my team about 10 years ago, when we were about probably half the size. I think it was when the first episode of Survivor, this is where I got this.
Love it.
51% of my group can meet at any time, or my group can meet at any time, and 51% vote someone off the island, including me.
Wow.
So I think that's the basis, hiring good people who have culture before they come in the door. And the fact that, if you're toxic to the group, if you're toxic to the clients, the group can make a decision for you to no longer be in the group.
Wow.
And I extend that to me. Some days I wish they'd book me off the island.
You're like, come on, guys, what's going on here?
When this Zoom started, I still had a job. So, yeah, and that just stemming that from there. So a leveraging would be the answer to that. You cannot be the best in every avenue. And if you and I opened a restaurant today,
sure,
the chef would not be the waitress, would not be the hostess, who would not be the marketer, who would not be the cashier, who would not order the food, but when you start out as a single agent, you are all those things the first client you have. And no one can be good at all those things. And so leveraging quickly. In the state of South Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina really is a border city. North Carolina gets to claim Charlotte, but it sits on the border. So I do upstate South Carolina and then Charlotte, North Carolina. But I was the first agent in the state of South Carolina to hire an assistant. Wow. And I was turned into the real estate commissioner, and they fought me for 3 years by saying that a realtor was not allowed to employ someone else. So that's how far back I go in building a team. That was 1989.
Wow. Stephen, that's incredible.
So
and again,
leveraging what you're not good at. And listen, if you're a single agent out there, you might just need to leverage at $10 an hour for someone to get the sign in the yard that gets stolen every other day, take the pictures, or type into MLS and that kind of stuff. So you don't need, and let me tell you, I could make the same amount of money if I was the agent with 3 excellent assistants. And so you don't have to have a team of 45 people to have an incredible income. You got to remember, my why is career building. But and in growing 45 people's career, my income has never suffered from that.
Wow.
But that would be the top, where I'd stop growing it. But everyone's why doesn't need to be growing other people's careers.
Right.
But that is my why, so we grow. But I could make what I net with 3 good assistants, maybe a showing assistant, but everyone else be doing the behind the scenes stuff. So I don't want anybody watching this think you have to have 45 people to make what I make.
Right. And I would agree. And everybody has a different process and goals that they're wanting to hit and direction. And, but I love the fact that you'd mentioned leveraging. And I think that that's crucially important. I think that over the past several years, people have been using those as buzzwords. So leverage, automate, do these things, but leveraging business is fundamental. And really looking at it, you're right. I love the analogy of that one person in the restaurant is not going to do everything. And
a huge leverage over my 31-year career has been technology. I could not make a phone call from the car. Now, everyone think about not being able to email, text, or call from your car. How many messages you would, and no email. No voicemail. The secretary at the real estate company wrote it on a stick on a little message thing and put it in your box.
Yeah.
You got to think about how I would come back with, once I had a big business at 23, 24, I'd come back with 40, 50 messages.
Wow.
And so you just look at what technology has done for our industry. It's really, the top producer in my town did about 3 million when I got in 89. And this year we will do about 225 million.
Unreal.
And you're looking at the top producer. Then of course prices have tripled, but
sure,
we can't take all that credit. But I would say technology probably was the 50% of the leveraging that you walk into the career today and have.
I think this is all beautiful. And I know, Stephen, we could have a conversation just on this one question because there's so much knowledge in there and practitioner truly. But anybody wants to connect with Stephen, I'm going to have all the social links. You can follow him on Facebook and Instagram. And again, just connect and really learn from one of the best and brightest. But I do want to segue into a slightly different tone. This is the tricky part. This is the challenge question. So I lead into it with everybody this way, Stephen. We all have challenge, right? It's life. So whether it's personal or professional challenges or struggles, no one's exempt. But I'm a firm believer, not so much what happens, but what we learn and how we respond, and I guess what we can share that really matters. And not to downplay pain or sorrow, but at the end of the day, I really find it's the message behind it. And so if there's a challenge you dealt with, Stephen, that you overcame, you came stronger because of it, what's that look like for you?
Wow, that is a challenging question about challenges, right?
I try.
So, a couple of things I would say about that. Number one, I don't have to ask my doctor how his love life is before surgery. I don't have to ask an airplane pilot how his love life is or his kids are doing before he takes the plane off. But I tell you, you should ask your realtor. How's your love life? How's your kids doing today before they come to work? And, this is my personal life.
Yeah.
And yours and everyone watching this.
Yeah.
And while your personal life does this, your career has got to do this. And you can't ride they can't ride that together. And wanting to be successful and wanting to accomplish things in my life, I knew that my business could not ride my personal life. And let me tell you, sitting here today as one of the top realtors in the country, I've suffered through every single personal thing that most of the people. certainly there's people that have suffered worse than me.
Sure.
But I have been through relationship issues, divorce. I've raised a high maintenance teenager. We all have, as we age, health scares. I've got aging parents, 179, 184. One has COVID in the hospital, the 84-year-old.
Oh, wow, Steve.
My only brother has it also.
Wow.
And he's doing much better than my 84-year-old father.
Okay.
My daughter's pregnant during this crisis. And
Wow.
so we all have those things in our lives going on.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to do our best to separate those so you can have a big career. I have lost, well, first of all, I've never released someone from my team for low production.
Okay.
I have never in 31 years. I've held them more accountable, which has caused them to leave.
Sure.
But I've had so many people leave at their own decision or my decision based on personal choices and personal life.
Wow.
And what I've realized that I did not know in my 20s, so hopefully someone will listen to an elder here, is you can't have everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have everything and be good at all of it.
Right.
You know? And so I didn't want to be average at 50 things. I want to be great at 3 things. 3 things I want to be great at. I want to be great at the relationships of the people that are in my life. You know, that's a handful of people.
Sure.
Mother, daughter, you know, those type people in our lives.
Yeah.
Health and fitness, because if you don't have health and fitness, you don't have a big life.
Well said.
And my career, real estate, running my team. And I can give you, we could talk 5 hours, but I'll say it in 30 seconds, of all the things I don't know and I'm not good at. I have not watched sports in 30 years. I played sports in high school. I've not watched sports in 30 years.
Wow.
You know, there's all kinds of things. I've never hit a golf ball, ever.
There you go.
And so, you know, there's certain things that you give up to be successful at a few things. And so I want to be great at my career. I want to be very healthy for my age. And I want an intimate relationship with the people that matter in my life. And there's no room for anything else.
Wow.
And so I really keep everything I do focused on those 3 things so I can be great at those. And let me tell you, if you're going to be above average to good, I'm not great, but better than good, let's say.
Sure.
Really don't have time for all that other stuff.
Right.
And I learned after I acquired a lot of materialistic things, they're time consuming. They're time consuming to maintain. They're time consuming to take care of. And so I've simplified a lot of those things just to be able to concentrate more on those 3 things.
Wow. And what a unique perspective for everybody to kind of dive into and really understand and soak in. And it's so true. We focus on the things that really matter, and the things that we focus on grow. And I love that you mentioned that you really, it's the jack of all trades, master of none sort of scenario.
Oh my gosh, it is so true. And let me say one more word about that abused word, leveraging, is you have to leverage your personal life at the same time you leverage your professional life. You know, my billable hours, if I was an attorney, my billable hours run at about $4,000 an hour.
Wow.
So should I be home cutting my grass? Should I be washing my car? And let me tell you, I grew up cutting grass and I love it. And I'm a little bit of a car guy.
Sure.
So I like cleaning up my own car.
Understood.
So if you like doing that, don't give it up. But in your personal life, you have to give up things that don't matter. And also pay people to do those things so you can have a big career, relationships with my close people, and health. And so, I joke sometimes, if I'd pay someone to sleep at my house, I wouldn't even have to go home, because today I ran by there and the cleaning lady's there, the yard crew's there, and the pool guy's there all at the same time. Wow. But I certainly make more money being here.
Wow.
And so leverage your personal life only for the things you don't enjoy. I did give up some things I enjoy at work.
Okay.
I really enjoy listing homes, and I did have to give that up to grow our business.
Okay.
But don't give up what you enjoy at home. But all the other stuff, give it up. Let someone else do it.
That's absolutely beautiful. And if anybody's watching or listening to this, please pause this, rewind it, listen to it over, take notes. I mean, this is true. To me, Stephen, this is priceless. This information, I wish they taught this when we were young. I wish somebody was there to say these things to people, to really understand the importance of balance and what's going on and how to really build the life you want to build and impact the community in a way that you want to and leave that legacy. I mean, everything you're saying is just, it's mind blowing to people who haven't heard it. Now, this audience in particular, they love this information and they really, really stick to this. And again, coming from someone of such stature such as yourself, Stephen, I mean, this is incredible. It's just absolutely through the moon and back again. I just love this stuff. So I do want to go to a softer question. You did that really gracefully, Stephen, and I love that. And that was so true.
No more challenges, please.
No, that's over. It's done with. We got through the hard stuff. But this question is actually one of my favorites. And this is not to change anything that you've done in your past, because as we kind of discussed, we all go through struggle, hardships. But again, what we go through makes us who we are and what we become, positive or negative. So if you could travel back in time and you could give your younger self at any age range a piece of advice or two, what would you say to your younger self?
Well, I'd like to go back to my Stephen at 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 50, and give him a hug and say, keep going, keep doing it. You're doing you're going in the right direction, because you don't always know you're going in the right direction, you know? Right. And so I would like to go back and pat him on the back and do that. I would say, you know, early on, do your best to know what you want out of your career and your life, and don't let other people sidetrack you. When you prove to be successful and you make money, everyone's interested in you investing or in their businesses or taking time away from what you're doing. And if I could go back, I would even be more focused on those three things and less focused on anything else, because all those other things I may have stuck my toe in, they don't matter today. They had nothing to do with my underlying goals. And I do have to say, I've done a good job focusing on those three. Sure. But anything other than those three, I would like to go back and tell them, don't even move. You know, my dad plowed a field with a mule, and it had blinders on to keep the mule from being distracted. I wish maybe those blinders had been a little thicker.
Wow. But that's so compelling to look at that and listen to that information, Stephen, because we can't go back, we can't change, and nor would a lot of us want to, because again, it's who we are. But everybody who's watching or listening, myself included, can imply that today and really focus on those three things and really put up your own blinders in a way for what really matters and try to block that out, right?
And I have a personal one too.
Yeah.
And that would be the person who breaks your heart, you will not remember their name one day.
Wow. Okay. There we go. You heard it here, everybody. That's great.
You know, those pains of the heart are greater than losing a leg sometimes.
Right.
So, you know, and I see a lot of young people. I employ young people, again, from 17 to 79. I see the young people go through that all the time, and they think that was the last person on earth. Wow. It's not the last person on earth who's watching this.
Wise words, my friend. Wise words. I love that, Stephen. I mean, again, super, super great information. Again, everybody, please reach out to this man. He's a wealth of knowledge all the way through and through. But Stephen, I have 2 questions left, and we're almost done with everything when it comes down to it. And this next one is actually a crowd pleaser to the audience. They want to learn as the Titans learn, and very specifically into, books you're reading or have read that you really love, podcasts you're listening to, influencers or coaches. How are you feeding your mind? If it's conferences, masterminds, what's going on in there?
Well, with my success, I'm able to be in some great masterminds. And so I really, last year I posted that my goal was to read a book a week, which was 52 books. So
Wow.
luckily, I'm so fortunate. People mailed me a lot of books.
Okay. I love that.
Some they wrote and some they recommended, and I've got that stack, and I plan to read them. But I find people in my industry that do a better job than me.
Wow.
And it may not be exactly production, but maybe a better job at a part of our business. And I really consult with them and share with them, and then I try to share that knowledge too.
Wow.
All the books out there that you can name, I either own or I've read or I've kind of read through them. Right now, during all this, COVID and other, lots of things happening in our society. Right. One thing I've done is I've minimized my exposure to news to 10 minutes a day.
Wow. Okay.
I've minimized my exposure to most avenues of social media other than things like this. And because it's information overload. When I was young, my dad would go out and get the newspaper, and that told you what happened in the world. Well, now there's, you watch the live video as it happens. And so those things are not great. As we age, my suit tells me when I've gained 5 pounds, right?
Sure.
And I have to go on a diet and work out harder. Yep. But no one evaluates our mental health, Greg. And so, as people age in their 30s and 40s and 50s, and you've got to maintain mental health, and too much exposure to things that don't matter to you, and lots of things do matter right now to us, and too much exposure all day long to that is not mentally healthy. And so right now, in 2020, I'm really minimizing who I listen to. Right. Journalism today is not neutral. Journalism today is opinionated. And so what channel you listen to will determine your religious beliefs, your political beliefs, whether the virus is real or not. And so I'm really minimizing that and staying focused with the people who are doing the similar job that I'm doing. Wow. And there's such great books out there. Your podcasts are amazing. Some of my friends have them. I watch them, and I'm just trying to really protect my mental health and all the information overload that's going on right now. Let's put down our phones for a couple of hours a day, right? Just a couple of hours a day. Don't know where your phone's at. And in this year, that's the best advice I can do with how I'm maintaining my goals and my beliefs and my mental health.
Wow, Stephen. I mean, and again, just continued incredible information and messaging from what you're saying here is, I love the fact that you are reaching out to others in your field of levels of success and taking back at a level of humility to say, you know what? We're good. We know what we're doing and we do it better than most. But there's some other people that do this a little different than we do, this a little different, and we could learn from them. And hey, guess what? They could probably learn a little from us. That level of humility and understanding and self-respect is huge. And there's so many people who wouldn't go there. The most successful people in the world, you're included there.
And Greg, right? I watched your series, and it's excellent. I can remember, I think we take a lot for granted, but let me tell you, I've seen 20,000 people fly to an arena or a convention center to get to here and pay $4,000 or $5,000, be away from home for 3 or 4 days, not just in admission, but when you count hotel and flight and food and all that, $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 to get what you're bringing to the table now. So, it's a great opportunity to learn and not even leave our homes. And you're doing just a fantastic job with that, and I appreciate it. I'm honored that you asked me. I'm not sure I qualified to be on the show, but
you're the perfect picture. If there was a name in the dictionary, as they say, it'd be right there. But Stephen, no, thank you so much for the kind words. And again, it's just, there's so much wealth and knowledge that's been really gone through in this particular episode. And again, I encourage everybody just to really not just listen or watch this one time, but pick apart what Stephen is saying. There's so much in there. There's so much depth. It's incredible. And to me, it's priceless information. no comparison to anything that you would pay for physically. This is beautiful right here. So, but Stephen, I want to wrap everything up with one final question.
All right.
This ends up being the quote or mantra that sums you up as a man, as a professional. What's that look like for Stephen Cooley?
Well, thank you for asking that, that's a good last question. Let's see. I have in my heart and in my soul the ability to be motivated and content at the same time, and those those two things together is usually like an angel and the devil.
Wow.
But unrealistic goals and expectations are as bad for you as no goals and no expectations. And so I work on the same road that I was hired on 31 years ago.
Wow.
One of my employees has been with me 22 years. You know, I've never had a job as an adult, but this one. I rode with one of my agents on a listing right before we started this. We did the exact same thing everyone's watching does. I went on a listing appointment. It wasn't a $5 million home. It was actually a rental house. And so I've never changed jobs.
Wow.
And I'm doing that job today. And so success lies in consistency and being motivated, but also motivation, in my opinion, is a feeling. Discipline and consistency is where success lies in this business. And so I am a motivated, content human being. I don't want to be someone else. I don't trade in the people I love easily. I don't. I keep them a few longer than I should have.
Wow.
And I've got the same job that I got when I was 21 years old. And on the same road, 2 buildings down from the building I was hired at. And I've never changed locations, never changed cities. And all those opportunities in 3 decades have been available to me in my personal life and profession. And once I got really good at this, every business tried to hire me to be their, lead their sales team. So motivated contentment would be something that I find rare and I harbor.
Wow, Stephen. I mean, I think that sums you up beautifully. And as you're explaining all these things, it gives me goosebumps because it really just inspires and motivates. And I know that if I'm feeling this way, I know that a big portion of the Titan Nation feeling the same way. And I don't say this, and you can rewind 187 episodes before you're Stephen. This is absolutely one of my favorite. And I say that with very, very deep, meaningful reason behind that. So it's just absolutely incredible. And your information was just right for everybody to hear in any given time frame, whether you're in real estate or you're an entrepreneur. I mean, the takeaways and implementation of consistency and longevity and really just that heart and really trying to help others and just that servant's mindset. It's incredible. I mean, I just love that, Stephen.
Well, Greg, and thank you, and bless you and your business and your family. And to everybody watching, one thing we have to do with everything going on in this world is stay true to who we are and be safe. And everything gets better with time, right? Everything gets better. And so certainly in a year that is stressful, people need to stay true to who they are and don't give up. Don't give up your career. Don't give up anything during, I always say when there's a lot going on, stay true to who you are, right? And we've got such an unusual year this year, but it's not the first unusual year.
Right.
For another Zoom, I added up the professional economic crises, and my career has survived 12 of those.
Wow.
And 2 Gulf Wars, 9/11. Y2K was huge. Most people don't remember that, but
Sure.
we all worried about it for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
and all the other things that's happened. And then when that Zoom was over, while I was still sitting in this chair, I wrote down how many personal crises I've survived, my career has survived, and there were more than 12.
Wow.
So this is one of those that we're all experiencing, but we will get through it. And so there are better times ahead. I don't think we're through it yet, but we will be through it.
Well said. And again, just continued nature of positivity and motivation, Stephen. And again, I can't thank you enough. I do have to say you are an official real estate titan. So that is a done deal. It's official, my friend. But Stephen, thank you again so much. It was an honor to have you on the show.
Great.
For sure. And everybody out there, thank you as always for your time and attention, your love and support. If you like here, we're doing with Real Estate Titans, don't forget to like and subscribe. You know what to do at this point. I do have to give our sponsor, Lionbolt Media, a quick shout out. If you are in real estate, you're looking to grow and develop your technical portions. So leveraging and automation and growing with marketing and advertisement for real estate, generating massive amounts of exposure and leads, please take a look at lionboltmedia.com. We are live here with Real Estate Titans every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody in the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care. Thanks, Stephen.